And today we have Gail Gardner with us. And welcome, Gail.
Hi, Deborah.
And I'm so glad you're here, Gail, because I know that I view you as an expert in community because all the communities that I join, you're either already there or you join later. It's like we always cross paths in communities. So I thought this is a great topic that we could talk about, past communities, future communities, and kind of the trends in communities. In fact, one of the most recent with Biz Sugar that still eludes me as far as no longer existing. That was a very fun community.
Well, it was actually still live last time I went in there.
Hmm.
The project, so Google is causing havoc in the publishing world. They've taken away even more page one space. And now they have the AI thing at the top, and
Right.
then they have all the other no click options. They're doing their best, and they are all doing this. It's Google and LinkedIn and Facebook, all of them. They're doing their best to keep everyone in their closed garden and not let anyone go to anybody's website. And so, if you're a publisher and your revenue comes from the traffic that clicks on the advertising on your website, and your traffic drops substantially because Google has a monopoly and they're not giving it to you anymore. It's the same thing that happened with blogs years ago. Remember when blogs used to get all kinds of traffic and then overnight they didn't?
Oh my.
You don't remember that?
They
Oh,
what?
you don't remember that? How can you forget?
What are you
Blogs
talking about?
used blogs, everyone's site, our websites
Oh, are you
used to
talking about my blog guest?
no, all bloggers.
Oh, just
You
blogging in general.
Right.
Right.
Your
Right.
blog used to get tons of organic traffic
Yep.
from Google
Yep.
until overnight an algorithm change, boom, you don't have nearly as much traffic anymore.
Oh, definitely. I used to live on my blog because I actually got ad revenue there.
Right. So the parent company of the Big Sugar community is a publisher that their revenue comes from advertising primarily. And if Google doesn't give you the traffic they used to give you, I mean, you should go search on Google today. And for a lot of searches, there's only one organic spot on page one. And most
Wow.
people never go to page two, right? There's only one organic spot. They've given all the traffic to Reddit. And what's the other one? There's another one that's
That
getting
Quora.
massive. Quora and
Hmm.
somewhere else. And so the monopolies have gotten together and made it a bigger monopoly. And it has something to do with training AI.
Hmm.
So they want to funnel all the traffic to big sites, make those sites bigger so AI has more stuff to feed on. But they're starving small businesses and publishers, and content just has no organic traffic to speak of anymore compared to what it did have.
I wonder if they even think of the future. Like, wasn't it just this past week when we were talking about this and how AI, they're training it on trash, basically, as far as the quality of the writing. And then from that, when AI produces the AI content, then it's going to end up training on itself and it's going to keep feeding on itself. I mean, the output a few years from now is not going to be worth reading.
Well, that's already true.
Right.
If you're reading an article and it makes no logical sense or says something that's obviously totally wrong or is repetitive, like, when you're a little kid and they teach you that if it says, what is X, the reply should be, X is this,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
AI talks like that. So if I get an article, somebody sends me an article they'd like me to publish, and every section is like a separate answer to a separate question, I know that it's an AI generated thing. And
Mm.
they didn't bother to edit it into a human flow, right? And you're right, just like education, if the educational system is poor, The next generation of teachers are products of that system. They're worse. The students they educate are worse, and everything is in a downhill trend over time. That's what's going to happen with AI. It first started training on human written everything. Some of it wasn't very good, but at least, it was human. But now more and more will be AI. And so it's using AI as the input to AI, and the AI is wrong, right?
Right. Right.
But what I hope will happen fairly quickly is that people will try to avoid AI. It's already happening, right? So, like,
Hmm.
people post videos, like the short videos on Facebook, and every time it's not either, it's totally unrealistic. There's no way that could happen. It has to be AI. It'll be people arguing in the whole comments is nothing but that's AI, that's real, that's not real, right? People,
So it's
it's
not a
like,
real conversation. It's just this back and forth trying to determine what it
right.
is.
It's like, do you really want a world where my bot talks to your bot and we're not even in the picture? That's where we're at. And there's a lot of pushback already. Like on LinkedIn, if people use those canned comments,
Hmm.
someone will say something. Or what'll happen is everyone else will start commenting under that comment with the same canned comment to
Just to
point out
highlight
how
it.
yeah, to point out how
Hmm.
ridiculous it
Right.
is. Either write something original or don't comment at all. People don't want to talk to a bot. And I think businesses are still hoping that chatbots are the way to grow your business and scale and not have more employees. And what they're going to find out is people hate that. People want real people, which is why
Yep.
communities exist. Some thrive and some die based on what the members post. And you can't get the members to get it. Sorry,
I
my
was
voice is
reading
going on.
on Facebook last night, I think it was. It just something popped up in my feed, and I don't spend a lot of time reading Facebook. I just had to go look at something or, respond to someone. And I saw this pop up. It was a Woodstock group or something. So this thing popped up and talking about Janis Joplin. And unless somehow Miss Janis changed her gender after being dead for a few decades, it kept saying in the write up, he, and I'm thinking, am I missing how I'm reading this grammatically speaking? And they're referring to a friend of Janis Joplin that was a he, and I was getting confused, and then all of a sudden it was like for every reference to male gender, there was maybe 9 references to a male gender and 1 reference to a female, and all of a sudden it would say her, and I thought, this is so confusing reading this because I don't know if we're talking about Janice or if Janice has all of a sudden become a man after the fact or what this is. And I thought, so I looked at the comments because I thought, doesn't anyone notice? It was actually a really thoughtful write up, except for this gender confusion. And I looked at the responses and everyone's like, oh, isn't that wonderful? That was such a nice write up. And I'm like, guys, grammatically speaking, it's confusing because the gender. I don't care if you want to switch to gender, whatever, but it doesn't agree with itself.
Well, that's a obvious thing that it was done with AI. It's obvious AI has difficulty understanding the difference between the subject in a sentence and the object in the sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll flip them sometimes.
Yep.
AI is wrong a lot. And I actually, the only AI I use is Perplexity for research. But sometimes it'll say something and I say that's not the most recent information, and then it'll go get something recent. Or it'll say something that's wrong and I'll say no, that's not correct, blah blah blah. Then it goes, oh, you're right, blah blah. It sometimes it apologizes. I mean, it's like AI is only useful if you're a subject matter expert and you know when it's wrong.
Right.
If you don't know when it's wrong, how useful is it? And
Exactly.
as someone who likes to write, I would much rather write than fact check. Fact
Mm-hmm.
checking is not a fun thing. And if you're going to AI everything, you've turned yourself from a writer of original thought to a fact checker, lest you embarrass yourself by publishing something stupid.
Yep.
And so I want to talk to people about community because I am for some reason people like to make me admin of Facebook groups. Maybe because they can't figure out how to do something, and I'll give them instructions on how to do something, and the next thing I know, the admin has made me an admin.
Oh wow. You
But
mean like even without asking you? Has that happened?
yeah, sometimes I'm the
That is
admin of a group in Salem, Oregon. I've never been to Salem, Oregon,
wow.
but the thing is, the group was dying, right? And so we kind of revived it. So the original group what requirement was you had to post an image, a photograph of something in Salem. Well, people don't want to do that, even though they're carrying a camera. I don't know why that's hard for them if they're carrying their smartphone, and I'm sure they are. But people don't want to share pictures. But what people want to do is try to find work, offer their services. The problem is if the community is only people offering services, then people will stop participating in that community, right?
Right.
And people can't seem to understand if your community. It's like I'm the admin of a blogger group too, and I actually posted early on and pinned the post to the top. What is it people think this group is for? Right? Because it's not clear to me. What it
Mhm.
turns into is people sharing links to videos or a bunch of stuff that's not in English, even though it clearly says in the rules you have to post in English. And even in countries where English isn't the first language, most people do use English,
Right.
right? Whereas most Americans do not speak Hindi and they do not know what you're saying, right?
Mhm.
And so and they never answer. So here's this community with tens of thousands of members, but all people want to do is throw a link to their latest whatever that nobody looks at, nobody cares about. It's not on topic. To me, if it's a blogging group, it's usually about how to blog, how to get more traffic to your blog, how to communicate with some kind of skill related thing of value, not just a whole bunch of random links.
Right. What
And
if we
and
did
you
it like per day? Like this day we're going to focus on, you know, different ways to blog or blogging specific as far as topics. Maybe this day it's how to grow your blog. Maybe this day just I'm sorry, I'm getting too
No,
drilled
no.
down into that
That's
community.
that's a good idea. And now we have to talk about where your community is.
Ah,
And this is the problem. So everyone wants to use Facebook. No matter how much we try to get them to use something else, they always revert back to their habit of going to Facebook. But the problem is that Facebook is only going to show your post to 3% of your page people. People follow you. Like people ran ads to get followers on Facebook, and now when they post, Facebook chooses to only show their whatever they post to 3% of their followers. So so they're quietly dying, right? Their page dies. Communities, I think, have the same problem because if I'm in a community and there are tens of thousands of people in this community, and I, as an admin, can see the statistics, and 36 people saw a post, or maybe it's a good post and 100 people saw it. That tells me Google's not Google, Facebook's not sharing it with the people in that group. And people don't realize on LinkedIn and on Facebook, you can go and tell it you want to see all posts. They don't know that. Like if you follow someone, you'll see next to nothing. If you really want to see stuff, you need to follow them, and then you need to go into notifications and tell them you want to see everything.
right.
But you still won't see everything. And the reason I know that is so I search often for certain things that I want to support. And even though I have notifications set to everything, when I search, there's new stuff that I never got notified about.
I have that with Michael. He'll post something and there'll be like 50 people that say they love something and it's some photograph. And he's like, well, I just assumed you saw it. It's like, honey, I live with you. You should have told me you took this wonderful picture of the Grand
Yeah.
Canyon because
Now
I didn't see it. I didn't know you posted it.
he needs to tag you and then I think you'll see it. But
Yeah,
this is the problem. So we've got all these communities on Facebook, but they only show you what you've been active in recently. So if you're in a lot of communities like I am, unless I search, if I have to remember I'm in a community, there's a bunch of communities with the same name. I have to remember how to find the one I'm looking for. Then I have to remember to go there because Facebook is not giving me the notifications unless I search. If I search on that group, it'll say 9 new. But in notifications is a big fat nothing.
hmm,
So Facebook is not a great place for community, except that everyone is on Facebook and that's where they want to go. And so Facebook is killing communities.
that's
Now
why
I'm
I
in some.
moved away. That's what this episode was supposed to be, where I give a demo of like the new place I've gone, which is Community, and I was able to
Yeah,
buy
see, but
in. Hmm?
the the problem is that when you try a new place, like let's take something else for example. YouTube heavily censors. They have now demonetized the biggest gardening channel in YouTube because he periodically talks about growing a plant that is not necessarily legal in every state of the U.S.
I
So instead of
follow you.
demonetizing those handful of videos, they demonetize his entire channel, and he has thousands of videos. He's been the biggest gardening channel forever,
So
right? And
you've got
so,
maybe 5% of his video. I don't know what the percentage is, but 5% of his videos that just happen to be this one little topic, and now he
right,
loses 95% that are wonderful topics that would help people who
right,
are trying to get a green thumb.
exactly. And
Huh.
so, and because it's demonetized, most likely YouTube's not showing them to people. YouTube also, even if you set notifications, you don't get anything.
Oh
And
no.
so, the obvious thing is that we should use the alternative, and the most popular alternative is Rumble. But compared to YouTube, Rumble is a blip, right?
Sorry, it's
So,
just that term just makes me laugh. Blip.
so we
Yeah.
can't get the people, even though the people know that everything's censored and they can't even write comments, and half the comments get deleted, and the other half are encrypted in all kinds of different ways of saying what you're not allowed to say in the comments. Like I think I'm ghost banned again. I comment all the time and nobody ever replies anymore, but they used to. So probably Google is making my comments visible only to me, or
Mm.
maybe they disappear after a day or two. I don't know.
No, I'm
But
sorry. This is on YouTube or Rumble.
that's YouTube.
Okay.
All right, but the thing is that everyone's on YouTube. Nobody goes to Rumble. Everyone's on Facebook. Nobody goes to whatever. Name the alternative. On LinkedIn yesterday, there was a discussion about how Slack is a terrible place to build a community, but that's what everybody wants to do. And so
At
the
least
good
now,
places,
today, or it's like I don't see as many in Slack as I did say 6 months ago, but it's like it goes in waves where people are hanging out or circles or
I don't,
school or
I don't understand Slack anyway because I don't have, well, see, it depends on where you live. If you live in a big city or you live on either coast and you have 136 megabyte download speed is common, and some people have 1 gig,
right,
compared to in the country, high speed internet can be as low as 5 megabytes down.
right,
There's
right,
a big whale of difference between 5 and 100,
right.
right? I hope people understand that. And so for me, Slack is a pain, even though I probably have 15 down or something like that. To switch between Slack channels is a pain. It takes forever, and you can't leave them all open,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, and
Right.
everybody wants an individual channel. It's just like that other thing that people tried to get going that was
Discord.
talked about on X all the time.
Oh,
And
Mastodon.
yes, and you have to
Mm-hmm.
join a separate one, and you can't figure out how to get to all of them. And then some of them won't even let you in because they don't like your email isn't on Gmail or something. And so Mastodon was a non starter for me. This is the problem. Some places should die because their usability sucks, like Mastodon. But a lot of places just can't compete because you can't compete with free, right?
Right.
You,
Right.
as an independent Rumble, for example, how do you compete with YouTube free,
You
right?
can't. YouTube is Google, and I mean
Right.
YouTube is the second largest search engine only
Search
because
it.
its own parent company is the largest.
Right. And YouTube intentionally, their comments aren't threaded, which means you can't hold a conversation in YouTube. Because even if you happen to see a reply, when they show it to you can't figure out what they replied to.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There might be 100 comments, and when you click reply and you type it underneath what you're replying to, it goes to the very bottom.
Right. Right. Which makes it
Facebook's
really difficult.
Yeah, Facebook is just as bad on their short videos. If you comment, the comments are threaded, but when you get a notification that someone has commented on your comment, you can't find it because it's
Right.
buried in 1,000 comments.
Right. By the way,
So,
just a quick blip, not to change it, but I think we'll save the tutorial for maybe the next episode here. But I was going to show everyone how to set up a community. Actually, I was going to pre-do. Is that a word? Pre-do the video. Freestyle. Anyway, for the um, Studio Fusion Club community, we're going to set that up and show people how to set up a community for that. But we'll do that in the next episode on that one. But that's just another, like you said, different platforms for different communities. It's another platform for a community, and it looks like school, but right now it's cheaper than school. So that was why I jumped for it because I didn't want to pay $100 a month.
see, that's the problem. These other platforms, they can maybe get traction, except that they charge $100 a month. And when you're trying to build something, it's not making enough money to cover the overhead. And so then people start it and then they end up dropping it. And so they can't get traction. The way the big boys get traction, like you can tell when a platform comes out. Like Twitter's an excellent example. So Twitter, I'm an early adopter, so I have an account on Twitter. And back then, if you posted a link, I had 1,000 followers, and I would get 35 or 40 visits to my website. Today, I had almost 100,000 followers on Twitter. If I post a link, even if I pin it to the top and leave it there, it might get one, two, three clicks. Right?
Wow.
That's how things happen. When
Yep.
early adopters, you get some traction. But what Twitter did, and you cannot convince me that anyone can replicate this, that's not backed by whoever the powers that be who choose winners and losers are. When Twitter first started, there was a day when Twitter was mentioned on the news broadcasts of every single news show that night, on the soap operas during the day, on the sitcoms in the evening. Come on, that is impossible. There is no PR agency in the world good enough to get your whatever you are mentioned on the same day on every channel everywhere, right? Unless you're the chosen next what big thing. And so it's obvious what's the next big thing, right? And then they are free, they don't make money, they operate for years, maybe a decade without making any money, right?
Yep.
Now, if you're a small business or you're an alternate platform, how long can you operate throwing money away. Like they didn't it wasn't that they just didn't make money, is that they lost millions of dollars a year,
Right. Right.
right? How do you compete with that? That's why they're still here. All the same ones are still here, except for a few of them that did stupid things, like Stumble Upon. I don't know whether they're around at all, but they did stupid things. They could have. The sad thing is, Stumble Upon as a community could have competed with Google Ads
Mm-hmm.
because they had all the experts and there was a page where you could see the experts. Like if you had a topic you were interested in and you followed it,
Mm-hmm.
there was a page that had all the experts and what they shared. And there were other pages that showed the top content for every topic. It was brilliant.
I
They could
remember
have
that.
put ads next to that. But
Right.
instead, those pages were only visible to people like us who could figure out how to get to them. They were not linked from anywhere. They were not promoted in any way. And that to me was what was valuable about Stumble Upon. Like I first got Linux, I looked up all the Linux experts, I looked up all the top Linux content, then I followed all the people that were the top Linux people. Like you could go to Stumble Upon and you immediately knew who the Linux influencers were on Stumble Upon.
Yep. I
And you
remember that. Yeah.
immediately knew where the best content about Linux was. And my thought was, well, monetize those pages and promote the heck out of them. And your content is better than a Google search
Yep.
because all the ads would be highly relevant to the page that they're on, which is the way that ads work.
That
And
makes
so
perfect
I couldn't
sense.
believe it. Instead, they wanted people to do this penny thing, whatever the heck that was. I can't even remember what it was, but it was like pennies. They wanted to make pennies when they could have been making, $25 plus ads. And
So they want
so
to do it per click instead of per page, where they could have
yeah,
actually made some serious money.
yeah, per click it was like a penny, or it was some
Right.
stupid thing. Plus twice they just went in and deleted, like you might have been on StumbleUpon and put in hours and hours and hours, and one day, bing, they just hit delete on everything you did.
Mm-hmm.
They did that twice, right?
Wow.
So why would you want to put all this great stuff there if overnight they're just going to delete you?
Yep.
Hint, if you run a community, do not do that.
Right.
do
Right.
do not alienate your your most loyal people, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like another there used to be a lot of blog voting sites where people submit content and then people would vote it up.
Yep.
And one of the biggest ones one day deleted all their most loyal users because they accused them of colluding to promote their own stuff. Well, duh. If you're in a community and like if you're in a community and Eileen is in there,
Right.
and Eileen never publishes crap, and I know you, and I know all these other people that publish the very best videos or content, I can automatically vote on your stuff because you have great stuff. So, am I colluding with you? No. Did you
No.
ask me? No. It just naturally happens that the people with the best content grow a following of people who know they publish great content. And even if they don't open it, they're going to vote for it because they like the topic, but maybe they don't have time to go look at it right now. And
Right.
so that guy killed his community when he deleted some of his most popular people for
That's not
colluding.
somebody that I know that
Oh, you
you don't have
know.
to say the name.
It used to be one of the biggest voting sites. I don't know if it's still around, I think. I don't know. Because I quit going there when they did that.
Right.
Because he deleted the best content. I'm like,
Right. Because but I used to do that too, where it was like, oh, I want to read this, but I'm right in the middle of a project, so I will read it later. But in the meantime, while I'm here, and I would vote for
right,
people, like you said. I know that you have never produced crap when it comes to writing articles. So it's like, oh, obviously I'm going to vote for Gail's article because I know that it's quality. Because every single one of your articles that I've read has been top notch quality. So why wouldn't I vote for your articles?
right. And so then I'm going to talk about something else community managers do. Okay, two things are important. You cannot let people be hateful, but you also cannot be a Karen. You're not the HOA, okay? Your community will die if you slap people around too much, right? If you continually either blast them for something they said or shared, or even worse, like the number one thing that will make me leave a community on Facebook today is if instead of just deleting something I posted you don't like, your community, that's okay, you report it to Facebook,
Mm,
right? I don't think people understand that if you do that, you could cause that person to get banned from other groups. You could, and if they work online, they do social media marketing or they're in marketing or whatever, and you report them to Facebook, that's really bad. Do not do that. Unless they
right.
did something terrible. If they said, okay, if they're sharing child evil, fine, report it. But if you just don't happen to agree with their opinion,
Don't.
don't go reporting that to Facebook. If you ever do that to me, I will leave your group that second and I will never, ever comment or share in it again. I will remember you and I will never come back.
I reported
Right?
one person. What they weren't my community. It was actually a family member that posted on my profile that I drink and go after my husband and try to cut off his manhood. Which of course I have never done that, and I wasn't even so much as tasting alcohol. So I was certainly not an alcoholic. I wasn't even drinking or anything. And I asked this person to please stop posting not nice things anywhere, let alone my profile. And she wouldn't stop. And so I actually, when she wouldn't stop after I asked her nicely, very nicely, I didn't yell at her or anything, I just asked her nicely. Then when she wouldn't stop and she kept doing it and posting these nasty things all over the place about me by name, I reported her Facebook. That finally
Right. Now
stopped
see,
her.
that is behavior that deserves to be reported. But just like in the comments of your blog, you not agreeing with someone, you have to have a community where you let people talk, right?
Mm-hmm.
You do not want to be an echo chamber and you don't want to be so strict that no one ever wants to risk sharing anything.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But if somebody is hateful, they need to go immediately, right? And so like there's a lot of groups on Facebook about organic food or organic gardening. Organic food ones are particularly controversial because there are a lot of paid shills that come to refute anything. If you say anything that you don't like GMO food, that group will be covered up in people or bots, whatever. Please quit, Banjo. Sorry, my puppy is rambunctious. It's too cold for her to go outside much right now. So there's one. It's called Clean Food. Clean Food. What is it? Clean Food. I go there every day. I
You
can't think
say
of the.
clean,
And
clean food?
clean. It's Clean Food something organic. And Michael is the guy that runs the place, and he does not allow bad behavior. He will throw you out instantly, right? And I'm going to find the name of that because that's bugging me. Clean Food. The Clean Food Nation, and then in parentheses, organic. That is the very best clean food group, organic group, non GMO group, what's not healthy. Although it's food, there's also talk about clothing and detergents and shampoos and that kind of thing. That is a great group because he immediately tosses all trolls out, right? And
Mm-hmm.
people are not allowed, like when someone comes in that's a newbie to this, they suddenly realize that everything that they buy says genetically modified on it and it freaked them out. They can come in no matter what they ask, we should be nice to them, right? If you have members that are not nice, you can talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're still not nice, they have to go, right? And so the key to community is It has to be interesting. You can't just let it devolve into a bunch of people dumping links. You can't let people just advertise their business all the time, right? Or every week. But you have to, kind of let them do a little of that, right? But you don't want, like, they clean, what do they clean? Ductwork. They clean ductwork. They want to post every week, right? No. They clean ductwork, you can post once a month, maybe. That's all. Because otherwise, they're just going to be post after post, and nobody cares, right? The average person is not in the need of ductwork cleaning today, right? And so, like in the Salem group, we have a bunch of different people that clean ducts. We have a bunch of different people that detail cars, and they're constantly wanting to post. And then you have the person that always begging for something free, right? And you want to
Right.
try to help people if they're really in need, but if every week they come back with a new, please give me something,
Please give
they,
me something. And by the way,
yeah,
we have Martin. Yay, Martin's here.
hey, hi, Martin. We were just
Hello.
talking about ways to kill your community.
Okay. Should you?
Oops,
So, yeah,
Martin.
if you let too much of that, then your members will start attacking them. And that's bad, right? Like they'll start calling them grifters if they keep asking. Every week I really could use this. I really need that. Please give me this. Please donate here. Please, please, please. Well, they may have a real need, but you can only do that once in a while per person. You can't, because otherwise they will start getting really hateful comments, and then you have problems with members that aren't really problem members, but they perceive this person as a con artist,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so you have to be really careful about that. So my voice is kind of tired because I'm trying to talk loud because of the volume thing. So I am going to be quiet for a while and let you and Martin talk.
Well, I'd like to hear Martin talk because now I'm really curious about volume wise if Martin's volume is coming since we are a podcast time of audio and so forth too.
Yeah. And now I see green, and then if I'm screaming, it's going to orange. But it's on the top. So should I adjust something, or is it okay?
Gail, are you able to hear Martin? Okay.
Do you hear me?
Martin is louder than usual today.
Okay.
And usually he's very quiet, but today he sounds good.
Okay.
Okay.
And you sound fine to me, Deborah. But Deborah
Thank
was
you.
having trouble hearing me earlier, and Banjo really wants to be on the show.
Okay. You know
Banjo
what?
is your dog?
Now I can hear you guys. I know what my problem was on this side. I was trying to log into the Riverside app, and I think the Riverside app was handling it because I just quit. Normally, I quit everything to do this, and I still had it open trying to go back there, but I quit the app, and now I can hear you, Gail, and now I can hear
Oh,
Martin. So
good. Yes, Martin. Banjo is my puppy who's a little over a year old,
Yeah.
almost a year and a half. And she gets excitable when I put the headset on and I'm not paying attention to her.
Yeah.
She wants to play, but it's been below freezing outside,
Mm-hmm.
and she doesn't have a really heavy coat, so she can't really stay outside as much as we normally do.
Yeah.
And so she gets all hyper, and then she drops her toys at my feet, and if I don't immediately throw them for her, she yips,
Cool.
and she
Does she?
gets quite loud. That
Yeah.
particular bark is quite sharp.
Yeah. Does she
she
likes
doesn't quite
banjo music?
understand.
Does she what?
Does she likes banjo music, like
Oh,
bluegrass or
yeah. I
old
don't know.
timers?
So this is really weird. You'll think this is weird. So my very first um, Aussie healer
Aussie
was
healer.
named Banjo,
Yeah.
and I had her a long time, and then she had a problem, and we tried to operate, and we couldn't do anything, and had to put her to sleep.
Oh.
And so a month or two later, I was at the postmaster's house to pick up some horse tack, and this puppy comes running out to me, and it looks just like the dog that we couldn't save.
Mm.
And so I named her Banjo too. And so then I took Banjo to the vet for her puppy, whatever, or to get her spayed or something. And the vet's eyes got really big because this puppy, who's not even the same breed, the second Banjo was a border healer. The first one was an Aussie healer. The second was a border healer. But all these dogs have common ancestors, all right? And so I named her Banjo because she looked just like the first Banjo when she did the front leg cross business that the first Banjo did. And so
That
now
little
this is
wiggle,
actually,
this.
yes, and this is actually Banjo number 4. And so I had an Aussie healer, and then I've had 3 border healers. And they're not easy to find, especially when you want one that looks like the previous ones. And they're
Wow.
very, very hyper because their job is to herd sheep.
Hmm.
Right.
They're used for herding sheep, and they're also used for herding cattle on thousands of acres.
Yeah.
And so they need a job. And
Mm.
this one's mama healer was, I mean, mama border collie was clearly a sheep herding dog because she does that crouch stare thing that my
Mm.
other ones really didn't do. So she looks just like them, but this one really thinks she's a sheep herder.
And
Well,
And
I'd
then
love to
so,
see her in video. Hmm?
and this is my kind of humor. Now I'll try to apply this to so-called a digital town hall or a community. Then you have to have, and I am a cat person, and you have to have this what is called cat herder or cattle, keeping the users in shape or what do you call it? But do you have sheep or cattle at your place?
I have horses.
Okay, that's good.
And
Then I,
so, and that's one of the reasons I have border healers. Okay,
yeah.
so this is the reason. And I've had people gripe because I bought a puppy, and instead of going to a rescue, you cannot rescue a dog to have around horses and ducks.
Yeah.
Bad idea,
Mm.
right?
Hmm.
Even if it's the right breed, it may kill your ducks.
Oof.
And so, or chase your horses.
Mm.
So, a healer, blue healers, Queensland healers, they're very good dogs, but they're very aggressive and protective. And if you have a healer, let's say my best friend has a healer, that dog's known me for years. If it's in his truck, I will not reach in and pet that dog in his truck because I know better, but people don't know better. You do not pet a healer when it's in or on someone's truck. It will bite you even if it knows you. And so healers are too aggressive for horses and ducks, and healers are one person dogs that are very protective and more prone to bite someone who probably deserved it, but still, you don't want that happening. Border collies, on the other hand, then some of them, if you like look at them cross-eyed or yell at them, they flip over backwards and wet themselves. They're just like ah, and they're too wimpy to be around horses. Some of
Oh
them. Now
my.
the working ones are not like that, but the pet ones have developed into being for some reason like that. Maybe because they were trying to breed out the working part. But if you cross them together, you get a dog that's a little more aggressive than a border healer pet. Not a border healer working dog, but a border healer or a border collie working dogs. You get more of a border collie working dog back, in other words. And so she's good around the horses. She would like to heal them, but she listens when I tell her not to. And she would like to herd the ducks, but she listens when I tell her not to.
When you say
And so
heel, you're talking about heel as in heel next to me, not heel as in heel
no,
them
heel
like
as
medical,
in
as in
take their
net, like
mouths and bite you on the heels. Have
right,
you ever
right.
seen a
Achilles
border
heel.
collie
Yeah.
herding sheep? They're usually
Yes,
black and white.
yes, yes.
Right. Okay. They want to
I just
herd
wanted
every.
people listening to understand the difference because
Yeah.
I've heard, as far as a dog saying
Yeah. I
healer, we're
was
not
thinking of
talking a
healer.
doctor.
Yeah.
We're talking like,
Right. No.
yeah,
Yes. Healer. Heeler.
yep,
Queensland healer. Blue healer. A kind of dog used for working cattle mostly.
right.
And border collie. A kind of dog used mostly for working sheep. That's the best known, but also used for working cattle on massive spreads where they can like. There's some awesome videos. People should look up the videos of a dog working cattle.
See,
Uh,
you
le-
should start a podcast on
Yeah.
this. You get so excited talking about this. You should have a podcast about
Well,
the
I mean,
different
they're
dogs and
amazing dogs. And if you look at those, have you ever seen those things where dogs compete on time through obstacle courses?
hmm hmm
Mm.
All right, so the fastest ones are either border collies or Australian shepherds,
ah,
right?
okay.
And all these healers, Australian Shepherds, and Border Collies are all descended from these same ancestors.
Ah,
And they were
okay.
all used to work sheep and cattle. And so they're still working dogs, but they got popular. Now, but I want to tell people they're very cute and adorable and everything. But if you don't have land and you're not really active outside, do not get a border healer or a border collie or a healer. Don't do it. They're
It's mean
very,
to
very,
them because they want to go
very,
outside.
no, they're very hyper. They need a job and they want to heal everything, including you and your children
Right.
and your other pets, your cats, your dogs, whatever. Yes, there are a lot of them end up in the pound to be rescued, and there's healer rescues because people get them and don't realize what they're getting, right?
Ah,
When you get a dog, get the kind that fits your lifestyle,
that
right?
makes
And
sense.
maybe we
That's
should
the
have a dog choosing community. I bet there are
that's
some.
Yeah,
exactly. I was just
good.
thinking about that because we have our dog Trudy is half Chihuahua, and I understand Chihuahuas. We've always had Chihuahuas, but she's half Italian Greyhound. That's a whole nother breed. And that side of her, I mean, Chihuahuas can be loyal, but the Italian Greyhound side, very loyal. I mean, she won't let Michael near me. It's like I am her person. She protects me against everybody, even Michael. Not that Michael's going to harm me or anything like that, but I mean, it has everything to do with protecting her
Right.
person. And that's
That's
that Italian
yes. The
Greyhound.
same thing as healers. They're very much one person dogs.
Yeah.
And some border healers are like that, but mine loves everyone. She she just loves anytime someone comes to visit. The hayman, the farrier. Like I have to lock her up for the farrier because she wants to love on him, right?
Well, she's
The guy,
contributing right
my
now to the
friend that
podcast.
my friend that brings the firewood, the FedEx delivery guy. She's like, she just loves everyone.
Yep.
And now I try to. I came late here because due different reasons, but now I'll, Gail, you could, if you want, rest your voice a bit, and I will try to come up. And I don't know what you have talked about, but we will try. I will try to so-called jokingly apply it to community. As a cat person, and if I see somebody with a dog and the dog is not attacking me but coming to me, I am a bit, standoffish. But I could attract cats, and in a way, they should be standoffish because cats are, they should be very by themselves and not be a pet, even if they are pets. So I was thinking how you could apply this on the community, and I heard you, Gail, talking about how community they could demand things, and that also in an online community. You have some rules, ground rules. You want to create some value, add value, have an exchange of ideas, services, whatnot, and create, as we like this service called true fans, that the real true fans are coming to the community, adding their 2 cents. That I like that expression, and you have an exchange. But then you also have to have some kind of moderation, administration, have a good atmosphere, so it will be nice. And that, for example, what I liked in at Be Sugar, and I liked that at Thistle and other places that I've been. But I've also been at communities and forums that is turning into not so nice things. So there you need like somebody that could bite at the Achilles heels, because often it's people that have some kind of issue, and then how do you say, they pour it out. They have, now I'm showing on live, they have time on their hands, so they sit at the keyboard and then something snaps or whatever, and they get angry, and if they would never do that if they would see somebody face to face, hopefully, but behind the keyboard they could say something like that in the community. And that I wonder about. And then you need to have some dog that could say that, bite or say this is not how to do it. But hopefully you want to cultivate a culture that never happened. But you never know. So, and
You
with
know,
this will be interesting to see around this podcast and other podcasts, and how you could start new ones. So yeah, that was my thought for the day.
you reminded me of something, Martin, because our call to action.
Yes.
And Gail, we always have a call to action so that people can. We're going to gamify it where people can actually do this every week and track them. And we always have a call to action. So our call to action last week was to join a community. Didn't matter what community. I mean, we'd love it if you join our community at studiofusion.club, but you could also join another one like True Fans, for instance, or any community. But I was thinking for this week, how about post something at a community, and ideally it's at our community because then we can see it. But the post something, and by the way, I'll let you contact us if you know how to. You can reach out to Martin or me. DM, email, something, somewhere. Let someone know your idea, but come up with either a podcast idea or a community idea. And right now, Gail has given a great idea with all the discussion about dogs. And I love the idea of creating a dog choosing community or process or event. So come up with an idea like that. And it doesn't have to be an idea that you would do. It doesn't have to be something that say, hey, I'm going to go start this podcast about, but just something, an idea that maybe somebody else would do, or an idea that you'd like to see implemented somewhere. It doesn't have to be a great idea even, just an idea. And you can come post it. I'll create a spot on our community where you can post it. And otherwise, like I said, post it somewhere or even send us a DM or an email, and we will mark that off that you did that action.
Yeah. And I think it's coming again all full circle. So if you listen to like podcasting 2.0 and Adam Curry is talking about this hyper local communities, radio station podcast and so on. So that's how it was back in the day, and then the internet came, and then it was often that, and then the big tech and the big social media platforms came along, and now I think
Yeah.
it's something new coming, and
Yep.
we are trying to do it for our part, so to speak. So
I hope
that's
so.
interesting.
That'd be
Yeah,
good, wouldn't it, Gail? If it comes that full circle and somehow we can, you know, flip it.
Well, actually, the most recent thing that I was surprised at on LinkedIn was someone was saying if you're in business, the golden age of the internet is over, and you need to have an offline presence. That we
Mm-hmm.
have to focus on that. And some of the most active communities on Facebook are local, right? So there's a little town not far from me. They have a group. They also still have a newspaper, by the way. And then
Wow.
there's another town, a little bit bigger town. They have a group. And then the bigger town further away, it has a group. And then there's Oklahoma homesteading group. So it's for the whole state. And so the
That's
more
interesting.
localized it is, the better, though, right? So if
Mm-hmm.
you're in a homesteading community, it's hard to start. It's hard to really have a community if even though Oklahoma seems really small compared to Texas or somewhere, it's not that small, right? You need a community of people really close to you, and if the group is for the whole state, they're not only are they not close to you, but their advice may not be applicable to you because
Right.
half of Oklahoma, just like half of Texas, is a desert, and the other half is a forest, right? And it's totally different. And so when you talk about homesteading, growing food, planting trees, everything is totally different one side of the state to the other side, right? And
Yep.
so the more localized it is, the better it is, right? And if you're in a local group, you're also more likely to remember to keep coming, right?
Right.
Like there's like what's happening in Wawoka, right? And that's one of the little groups. Well, if you live around Wawoka, not too many people live in Wawoka, but there's a lot of people with Wawoka addresses out in the country 10 miles from the city that then there's lots of people you're going to probably remember to come back to that community, right? You can remember the name of the place you live. You're going to look for that. Even if you can't remember the name of the group, you can just type in where you live and see what pops up. And so, yes, very hyper local is going to be very valuable. The the whole thing with the monopolies taking away the traffic, it makes it really hard. Like even like if you have an e-commerce business, don't even get me started about what Amazon is doing to the people that sell on Amazon. It's really. I knew they were. They've always been evil, but they're way more evil today than they've been. Google
Wow.
Buzz, again, same thing. All of the, like LinkedIn, oh, here's your tip for LinkedIn building community. The way you build community there is you look up the people that are most famous that you know, kind of, or you follow, you want to read what they say. Go to their profile and follow them. Then click on the bell that comes on when you follow someone and double follow them, basically. Say you want to get everything they post. And then for these select people in your niche, comment intelligently on what they post selectively, and then copy your comment and repost it with your thoughts on your own profile. And you will go from having none to 100 or 200 followers to having thousands of followers or tens of thousands of followers. I think I'm up to 11,000 something. And all that's all I did was I commented on people and then I shared. And sometimes, like when I repost it, I will recommend something they wrote. I'll say, you really need to read this if you're this, you really want to read this, right? And promote them and sometimes tag them and sometimes I don't. But anyway,
Great
that's
tip.
Yeah,
Thank
community
very
you.
building.
good. Yeah.
Yep,
Here's the other
exactly.
important thing though. When you post, don't include a link. Isn't that awful?
Hmm.
When
Yes.
you post on LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere, do not include a link in the post.
I've
Put the
heard that.
link in the
The comment.
comment.
Yep.
Put
Yep. I've
put
heard
the
that.
link
And
in the
that
comment. Or
and
the
that
guy that's really good at this, he doesn't even put the link in the comment. He says, "Go to my website to X section and it's the last post there."
hmm,
Right? And that's great if they see it, like
and
you're
do it.
you're
Yeah.
assuming they're only going to see it now, they won't see it later, right? Because
Right.
And that's really smart and a good tip. And there we have this friendly competition. What is the big platforms afraid of? That you're leaving their platform, their walled garden. Should you be that? I don't think so. But
We
that's
got
yeah,
another thing for another story. But
Yeah, I was gonna
they're
say we're
they're
coming up on the hour, so I
yep.
think we've got about three ideas for another topic here. You're
well,
just getting
it's
going.
just it's greedy of them,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
If you are active on LinkedIn, you're not going to forget to come back to LinkedIn. If you're active on YouTube, you're not going to forget to come back to YouTube, right? So they don't have to keep you there, right? They don't have to be so greedy they won't share anybody, but they are. And they want to keep you on their platform. They do not, and you can see this. Like I know famous people, and they'll post something really really important, and it'll get one. The only comment on it is mine, and there's like a couple likes. Whereas somebody else posts something without a link in it, and it'll have 100 comments on it. It's because LinkedIn showed it to everyone because it didn't have a link to leave their platform. And like
Yep.
I said, it'd be different if they were a little tiny fish and they were afraid you'd leave and never come back. That'd be one thing. But we're talking about YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Come
Yep.
on, people. Nobody's going to forget to come back to Facebook, right?
Right. Right.
Nobody's
That's a
going
good
to
point.
forget that YouTube has videos to watch. It is purely evil monopolistic behavior, right? But there's nothing that the masses can do about it if we can't get them to selectively choose to use alternative platforms
Good point. Well, guys,
consistently.
this has been a wonderful chat, and thank you so much, Gail, for joining us. I love those tips. I can't wait to highlight them in the show notes so that people can go back and listen to your tips. This is great. And so we've talked about community during this session, and we will follow up either in the next episode or I'll attach it to this one as far as the promised how to in setting up your community on Communi. We were going to let you watch us set up the Studio Fusion community, but we will still get that to you, whether it's an addendum or it's the next episode. And you guys know how to find us. You can find us the same time next week, live streaming. And this episode will be post production and it will be next week's podcast episode. And please join us on True Fans. And we like to communicate there on that community. And Martin, do you want to add anything?
No, I think that's all good.
And you can follow us on our website too and catch all the new stuff there at studiofusion.co. Otherwise, we'll see you same time, same place next week.
Bye.
Right.